Hey guys, welcome to a new movie review. Today I'm going to be telling you about the new Richard Linklater film called Boyhood. Boyhood is a film that the independent film director Richard Linklater, who's worked on the Before Sunrise trilogy, School of Rock, Dazed and Confused, he's worked on tons of great stuff. This is something that he's worked on since 2002, and there's a reason for that because every year he had different films he wanted to take on, and so he basically treated this film later called Boyhood like 12 different short films. And the reason for that is because for each year I think I read somewhere, I think every 2 weeks he would dedicate to filming some small portion of the film for those 12 years. And then obviously around last year, 2013, he filmed the rest of the stuff that he needed, which is mostly towards the end of the film, basically at that point to basically create this film where we follow this young boy from age 5 to age 18. So obviously, that kind of a film would require something like this to be um, filmed over the course of several years to be made. So for Boyhood, you guys, for the plot of this film, we follow a young boy named Mason, and his mother is basically struggling. She always works several different kind of jobs. She never really finds a place. They live in Texas somewhere, and they always move. So I really can't say specifically where they live because, well, they're in the state of Texas, but they're always moving. So it's really hard to say which city they live in because they're always moving. But basically, she can't really maintain any of the jobs that she has, and so she wants to go back to college and basically become a college professor, which she later succeeds with. But it takes her a long time to do it. She has several different husbands along the way, several different boyfriends. Some good, some bad. Some of them that went really bad, and you'll see when this film why that is. Um, but throughout that time, we basically follow this young boy and his sister, played by Lorelai Linklater, who is Richard Linklater's real life daughter, who plays the sister of Mason in this movie. We basically see most of the story play out from their perspective. Do they like the move? Do they like the new town? Are they making friends? Are they getting into trouble? Are they being successful? Are they finding things that they can use later in life for a career? All those things happen throughout the course of Boyhood, and it really is quite beautiful to watch. So for Boyhood, you guys, I really enjoyed this film. It really is quite unique and really original in the sense of its execution because it really is a lot of these kind of films, a lot of these coming of age stories, a lot of them would use probably different actors that look alike or, maybe use CGI or prosthetics and things like that. Boyhood literally takes the literal approach. It really does. Um, Position it and handle itself. So back in 2002, we're watching what that young boy looked like in 2002, and in 2013, which is I think the last year that they were done filming this movie, we basically get to see that progression. We get to see all these years of obviously there was a script involved with everything too, but all these years of progression, all these years of was this a good year, a bad year? Was he successful this year? Did he run into failure around this time? It really has a good sense of reality in life and a lot of like modern day stuff that was going on at the time. The war with Iraq, the fame of Dragon Ball Z, the fame of the Spider-Man films by Sam Raimi. All those things get incorporated into this movie somehow within the appropriate time period that actually happened in real life too, between 2002 and the present here in 2014. Um, so for positives and negatives of Boyhood, I really think it's beautifully executed. That's my first positive thing to say. It really is beautifully executed. You can definitely tell a lot of years went into this movie, and it really showed. I mean, Richard Linklater really planned this film out. He really probably had to make a lot of changes along the way to really make it feel more current, more modern, more appropriate for the year that certain scene or scenes take place in. It really is beautifully made, and it really is a landmark in the sense that there's this film that really gets a really good understanding of what happened between 2002 and 2014, and Richard Linklater really mastered it here. That goes to my next point. There was tons of hard work put into this movie, and it really paid off. You can definitely tell that they really knew what they were doing, and it's just really interesting to see this young boy's life play out, see his successes, see his failures, see the bad husbands that the mom has, see the bad boyfriends. You know, moving to certain places was good for him. Moving to certain places was bad for him. Times where the sister was good to him. Times where the sister was bad to him. You know, all these kind of things play out throughout the course of this movie. And speaking of the sister, my next big positive thing about Boyhood is Lorelai Linklater, who is also the, like I said, the real life daughter of Richard Linklater, who's directed the movie. I loved her performance in this movie. I really loved her performance a lot. You really got the sense that she was really this guy's sister. I almost had to remind myself throughout the course of the movie that this, you know, these two weren't related, but we had to buy into the fact that we were, and we were. I mean, we us as an audience are really going to buy into this fact that, you know, these guys really look like brother and sister. And the way that they act around each other, the way that they play around and have friends over, and, you know, have fights and have agreements, have ways of adapting into things. Yeah, Lorelai Linklater really gave a great performance here. I would go so far to say as I really hope the Academy Award almost nominates her for a Best Actress award. Really deserves it. I think I read somewhere that she wasn't too happy with her performance in this. I don't know what's going on, but I really loved her performance here, and I really hope to see her in more films. Richard Linklater, you have a great acting daughter and a great actress ahead of you. Please use her in more films. She's a great actress and a great young daughter that has seems to have a lot of talent behind her. The film also has a great sense of life and reality. I really like that about the film. It really does feel like up and down, in a good way, you know, like because life is up and down. You know, there's times where we're going to be really happy and really successful, and there's going to be times where we don't feel so successful and we don't feel so great about ourselves, and things aren't very easy to live through, and things like that. Um, just a great sense of life and reality, and I really appreciate that Richard Linklater managed to master that tone and feeling for the Boyhood movie. The film also has a very good awareness of what went on between 2002 and 2014. It really knows that time period really well, that 12-year period, and it really paid off once again. Richard Linklater obviously probably had to tweak his script a few times to make this work, but it was well worth the wait, well worth the time, well worth his efforts making this. Really well executed. And then my last really positive thing to say about Boyhood is it really did feel like I was watching real people's lives play out, and I think that's fantastic. I really think that's an accomplishment in cinema. You know, there's times where obviously, you know, actors and actresses give great performances in coming of age films and dramas, but Boyhood is truly one of the first films I can easily say that it's the first film about real people that isn't about real people, but it feels like it's about real people. And Richard Linklater once again really mastered that. He really knew what he was doing in this film. All these years of hard work really paid off, and it just worked in almost every way possible. For my only negatives for Boyhood, since I really don't have a lot for it, you can definitely feel the long length of this film. This film is almost 3 hours in length. I think more accurately, I think it's about 2 hours and 50 minutes, which is still very long. You can feel the length with this movie, and I think when you can feel the long length of a film, that's usually a sign that maybe it's a little bit too long. I think it's a little hard to sit through for certain people. I think those who really want to give this film a chance might have, you know, some hesitations now of seeing it since it is so long. I would almost say that what I saw here could have been the director's cut of Boyhood, and possibly any additional footage that Richard Linklater had could have been used for a director's cut. For me personally, I think this film could have benefited from about 20 or 30 minutes cut from the movie, and then whatever we saw for those other remaining moments could have been saved for a director's cut. But this is another minor nitpick, so it just felt a little bit longer than I would have liked it to be. My other negative for Boyhood is that it does occasionally have a slow pace. I understand that Richard Linklater really wants to get the feeling that, you know, life is really up and down. There's times where it moves by really fast, times where it moves by really slow. But on the scenes where it's slow, it really is very slow. And once again, I think that might scare away from some people from watching this movie. But once again, just another minor nitpick. And then my last negative about the movie is I think after a while there was almost too many unlikable characters. And my reason for really pushing that comment for Boyhood is some of those unlikable characters, they kind of repeat earlier faults in the movie. Without spoiling too much, there's two guys that the mother sees throughout the course of the film. They're both alcoholics, and you know, obviously, because they're both alcoholics, There's a scene involving both of them, not in the same scene, obviously, but it just feels like a rerun of something we saw earlier. And I think that once again just retracts the film, once again makes my point that the film might be a little bit too long for its own good. Um, and I don't know, it just felt like there was too many unlikable characters. And it was getting to the point where it's like I wanted more likable people for these characters to interact with throughout the movie. And I think it just kind of worn the film down just by a little bit. But regardless, like I said, those were really minor nitpicks when it came to my negatives. Boyhood, I'm going to give it a 9 out of 10. It really is a terrific film. It really is a landmark. I think it is going to become an instant classic for a lot of people. For those who want to give Richard Linklater a chance, Boyhood is the film to see from him for sure. He doesn't make a lot of films. He has obviously made a lot of films throughout the course of the years, but not a lot of his films are mainstream. Not a lot of theaters show them. So see them any way you can. But Boyhood is definitely one from him that I would really highly recommend seeing from him. Definitely one of his better films that he's made. He's made some great ones, don't get me wrong. I loved the Before Sunrise trilogy. I loved School of Rock. I loved Dazed and Confused of what I saw of it and things like that. But Boyhood really was terrific. So 9 out of 10 for me. Please see it. I know not a lot of theaters are showing it right now. It definitely has a limited release. But if you can see it, please do. I think this is going to become an instant classic. And it really matched that coming of age feeling for this film genre. So Boyhood, huge thumbs up for me, 9 out of 10. If you get a chance to see it, please do. It really is quite good.